WNBA Finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. I'm a human too. I have a family.
This year, the WNBA's biggest excitement isn't from thrilling last-second shots or unexpected playoff wins. Instead, all the buzz is happening behind closed doors in meetings and during contract negotiations. Caitlin Clark, a rookie everyone expected to make a huge splash, is quietly changing how things work. There's a reported deal worth over $20 million that's still unsigned. It's not because of any hesitation, but because Clark has realized something many others haven't. In women's sports, you don't get power, you take it. She's using her influence, her independence, and her impact on culture with such skill that league officials, TV networks, sponsors, and fans are all on the edge of their seats. The tension isn't just financial, it's existential. It's about who controls the narrative, who sets the pace, who ultimately defines value in professional women's basketball. Clark entered the league unlike any rookie before her. Her NCAA career wasn't merely prolific, it was historic. A combination of unmatched scoring ability, leadership, and charisma that broke viewership records and created global buzz. She didn't just arrive in the WNBA. She arrived with a reputation, a following, and a marketability that far outstripped her rookie status. Yet, despite her arrival with the fanfare of a superstar, the WNBA's salary structure remains comparatively modest. In 2025, Clark's WNBA salary hovered around $114,000, while her off-court earnings through endorsements, social media partnerships, and brand deals eclipsed $16 million. More than 99% of her income was generated outside the league, signaling a fundamental shift in the economics of women's sports. A star player can now wield influence that exceeds what traditional structures can compensate. This economic leverage is not abstract, it has tangible consequences for the league. Games featuring Clark draw larger crowds than almost any other matchup. Television ratings spike, merchandise sells out, and social media engagement explodes. The so-called Caitlin effect has transformed revenue expectations and altered the NBA's perceived financial gravity. And yet, that same power has created tension. For decades, the WNBA operated under a model where players were constrained by modest salaries, often forced to supplement income by playing overseas, giving the league leverage over scheduling, career trajectories, and negotiations. Clark has upended that paradigm. She does not need the league to survive. She needs the league to acknowledge her value. Clark's stance does more than challenge. A single contract hit destabilizes an entire paradigm. For decades, the WNBA operated under the assumption that stars would conform to schedules, participate in league-sanctioned events, and adhere to predictable career trajectories. Clark's decision to pause, assess, assert control exposes the fragility of that model. She demonstrates that influence is no longer tied solely to tenure, accolades, or on-court performance. It is now intertwined with visibility, media reach, and strategic decision-making. Executives are forced to reckon with a reality they rarely faced before. A player whose presence drives ratings, ticket sales, and global attention is not just an asset to be managed, but a partner whose choices directly shape the league's fortunes. This shift carries cultural as well as financial weight. By leveraging her independence, Clark signals to younger athletes that career decisions can reflect personal priorities, brand strategy, and long-term vision rather than immediate compliance. The message is unambiguous. Agency is a form of power, and it can be exercised strategically for fans, media, and sponsors. Clark embodies a new archetype of athlete, one who balances skill with savvy, dominance with discretion, and ambition with self-determination. The league's traditional authority is now shared, contested, and renegotiated in real time, and Clark sits at the center of this evolution, proving that in modern women's basketball, power is no longer granted. It is claimed the stakes could not be higher. In mid-2025, the WNBA finalized a transformative $2.2 billion media rights deal, projected to expand television exposure and revenue over the next decade. Broadcasters, advertisers, and investors operate on the assumption that marquee players, especially Clark, will be visible and fully engaged. But Clark's selective participation disrupts that calculus. The growth projections that once seemed stable now carry an element of uncertainty. For the league, this unpredictability is a challenge of scale and control. For Clark, it is a strategic exercise in asserting authority. By controlling when, where, and how she participates, Clark signals that star power cannot be bought or mandated, must be recognized, respected, and negotiated. Clark's approach also carries a cultural message. She is emblematic of a generation of athletes who are media-savvy, brand-conscious, and aware of their cultural capital. Her decisions are not born of entitlement. They are born of strategy. She negotiates from abundance, not scarcity. While traditional stars relied on league contracts for financial stability, Clark has secured security through endorsements, partnerships, and brand building. She can prioritize recovery, personal growth, and brand strategy over league-imposed obligations. In doing so, she redefines what it means to be a professional athlete in women's sports. The implications extend beyond her individual career. They challenge the assumptions that have long governed the WNBA, setting a precedent for a new era of agency. The rumored deal with the unrivaled 3-on-3 league exemplifies the power at her disposal. Structured as a hybrid of equity, revenue sharing, and creative control, promised Clark the opportunity to not just participate, but to shape the platform itself. With her on board, Unrivaled could immediately claim global relevance. Without her, the league faced the challenge of marketing an ambitious, yet unproven venture. Clark's reported stalling signaled a broader point. Her influence is not simply athletic, it is cultural and economic. By withholding participation, she asserts that visibility is conditional, engagement is strategic, and influence is non-negotiable. Money alone cannot dictate her choices. Impact and autonomy do. The consequences of Clark's decisions extend to league structures, collective bargaining negotiations, and public perception. The WNBA's current salary framework, while recently modernized with proposals for higher base salaries and revenue sharing, remains constrained relative to the economic realities of elite athletes in 2025. Players, like Clark, expose the gap between earnings potential and league-imposed limits, forcing executives to reconsider models of compensation and leverage. The league now faces the dual challenge of cultivating growth while respecting the agency of athletes whose commercial and cultural impact far exceeds traditional metrics. Clark's rookie season further illustrates the stakes. She endured physical challenges that tested her endurance and resilience, facing contact that often went unpunished and stressors that would challenge even seasoned veterans. Her reported decisions to skip certain off-season commitments reflect a strategic prioritization of health and longevity. This is not avoidance, it is a demonstration of foresight, a calculated decision to preserve her ability to perform at peak levels while maintaining her cultural and financial influence. It is a form of power rarely exercised by rookies, a reminder that control over one's career is as important as performance on the court. The scrutiny surrounding Clark is intense, precisely because she refuses to fit the mold. Each article, tweet, or commentary piece becomes part of the larger story she is authoring, one where a player's worth is measured, not just by points or accolades, but by cultural impact and strategic influence. Fans dissect her every move, wondering whether she will prioritize rest, recovery, or selective engagement over the league's expectations. Yet the more she is analyzed, the more her power is affirmed. Clark has transformed speculation into leverage and criticism into attention that magnifies her marketability. In this environment, the traditional levers of control contracts, media obligations, and league narratives are insufficient to dictate her path. Clark has shown that the athlete who understands her own value can command not only the court, but the conversation itself. In doing so, she signals a new era where autonomy, influence, and timing are as decisive as talent in shaping the trajectory of women's professional basketball. At the heart of this tension is symbolic recalibration of power. For decades, the WNBA assumed authority over player schedules, media appearances, and career pathways. The arrival of athletes with market intelligence, global reach, and financial independence challenges that assumption. Clark is proof that influence is not solely earned on the court. It is cultivated across platforms, audiences, and cultural conversations. By asserting control over her engagement, she demonstrates that the true currency of modern sports is not only talent, is attention, narrative, and strategic visibility. The league can no longer rely solely on traditional models of compliance. Star athletes now drive the momentum, shape the discourse, and dictate the conditions under which engagement occurs. Financial autonomy further amplifies Clark's leverage. Her multi-million-dollar deal with Nike is emblematic of her market power, providing both security and independence. Unlike previous generations of players, she does not need to accept conditions dictated by the league. She negotiates from a position of abundance. This changes the dynamics of every contract discussion, every media obligation, and every public appearance. Clark's financial independence is not just a personal advantage, it is a structural disruptor, redefining expectations for rookies, veterans, and the league itself. The tension extends to cultural expectations as well. Clark's decisions are scrutinized not only for their economic impact, but for what they signify about gender, equity, and representation in sports. In refusing to conform to outdated norms, she challenges long-held assumptions about the role and visibility of female athletes. This is a generational shift, one in which women's sports stars assert influence, shape media narratives, and demand recognition that matches their impact. Clark is not simply participating in the league, she is actively shaping the culture and the business, teaching both peers and executives that agency, vision, and strategy are as important as performance. Clark's example has immediate and far-reaching implications for the WATN. Teams must rethink talent valuation. Sponsors must reassess engagement strategies. And media partners must reconsider projections tied to star visibility. The league's growth model, once stable, now contends with variables dictated by athlete choice and autonomy. Every missed appearance or selective engagement carries both financial and symbolic weight, reinforcing the notion that stars cannot be treated as interchangeable commodities. Clark has redefined what it means to be indispensable, proving that influence, brand value, and strategic decision-making are intertwined with athletic performance. Her impact also reverberates beyond economics. Clark has become a symbol of empowerment, inspiring young athletes to prioritize agency, health, and career strategy alongside traditional metrics of success. She demonstrates that talent alone is no longer sufficient. Influence, cultural resonance, and visibility are equally vital. By setting her own terms early in her career, she establishes a roadmap for future generations, signaling that autonomy is not a privilege earned after years of toil. It is a strategic choice to be exercised from the start. At the intersection of financial independence, cultural impact, and strategic decision-making lies the essence of Clark's influence. She challenges the WNBA to adapt, to respect player agency, and to recognize that star power cannot be manufactured. By navigating contracts, media commitments, and league obligations on her own terms, she establishes a precedent that redefines the boundaries of authority in women's professional basketball. The league's historical leverage over players has shifted. The narrative has changed. The balance of power now recognizes that autonomy, influence, and strategic vision are as potent as skill and statistics. Clark's influence extends far beyond the hardwood. Every decision she makes, whether about training, public appearances, or contract negotiations, sends ripples through the league, forcing players, executives, and fans alike to reconsider what it means to be superstar in modern women's basketball. Unlike any athlete before her, Clark wields her platform with strategic intent. She has turned the concept of rookie vulnerability on its head, demonstrating that early career players can command authority, shape cultural narratives, and dictate market value from the very start. Her presence is a case study in power dynamics. She does not merely participate in the ecosystem of women's sports. She actively molds it, creating new standards for engagement, compensation, influence. The cultural stakes of Clark's career are profound. She exists at the intersection of athletic excellence and social visibility, where every highlight reel, interview, or social media post contributes to a broader narrative about representation, equity, and autonomy in women's sports. In asserting control over her own career path, Clark challenges long-standing assumptions that athletes must defer to institutional authority. Her choices send a clear message to younger players. Success is not just measured by points scored or trophies won. It is measured by the ability to shape one's destiny, influence the conversation, and demand recognition that aligns with true impact. In doing so, she is teaching an entirely new generation that agency is a form of power as critical as athletic skill. Financial leverage is a central pillar of Clark's authority. Unlike many of her predecessors, whose careers depended heavily on league salaries or overseas contracts, Clark's multi-million-dollar endorsement portfolio provides both security and freedom. This autonomy allows her to prioritize rest, recovery, and strategic engagement over constant exposure, a decision that has historic implications for how female athletes negotiate the terms of their careers. Clark's ability to selectively participate in leagues, media obligations, and promotional campaigns demonstrates a mastery of timing and influence that transforms her from a player into a strategist. It is a rare phenomenon, a rookie shaping not only her own narrative but also the structures and expectations of the league itself. Clark's impact also highlights the evolving relationship between the WNBA and its most marketable stars. No longer can the league assume that visibility and participation will be automatic. The $2.2 billion media rights deal, one of the most ambitious contracts in the history of women's sports, relies heavily on the presence of marquee players like Clark. Her ability to influence when and how she engages introduces a new dynamic into league operations. Unpredictability paired with immense cultural and financial power. The WNBA is now confronted with a new reality star. Athletes are no longer passive contributors. They are active architects of the league's identity and value. Clark's decisions serve as both a blueprint and a challenge for executives, illustrating that talent alone does not dictate influence. Strategy, autonomy, and cultural resonance do. The stakes are not only economic, but symbolic. By asserting her priorities, Clark redefines the narrative of female athleticism in 22-5. Her presence compels the league to balance growth ambitions with respect for individual agency, signaling a shift from compliance-driven structures to collaborative, star-driven influence. In this new era, players are no longer silent participants. They are visible architects of culture, economics, and fan engagement. Clark embodies this shift, blending athletic dominance with media mastery, financial independence, and cultural impact. And in doing so, she creates a model that could reshape the WNBA for generations. Ultimately, Caitlin Clark's story is about power, how it is earned, exercised, and recognized. She is proof that a player's influence extends far beyond statistics and contracts. It resides in the ability to reshape expectations, to challenge old paradigms, and to assert authority without apology. Every decision she makes is a declaration. Every calculated pause a reminder that agency is currency, and every public appearance a strategic act